Welcome back to another flight vlog. This one's no less fun-filled, shall we say, than any of my other flight vlogs. Nothing terrible happened, but could it have done? I'll let you decide. So welcome back to all my existing followers and an extra special welcome to the lots of new followers I'm getting on this channel. This is the channel where it's a video diary for myself and my family, and I'm documenting my efforts, my prolonged efforts to work towards one day being able to fly my family around the world in a seaplane, which is going to require a lot more time, a lot more free time, a lot more money, and a lot more pilot experience, which I'm building, and that's what I'm trying to build. And this video was a fairly remarkable flight for a number of reasons, or a pair of flights. But for those of you who've been following the channel for a while, you'll know that in the last couple of years, I haven't done nearly as much flying as I usually do for a number of reasons, all adding up together to mean that I've flown less than half the number of hours I would normally fly. And this year, 2023, which we're coming to the end of, I missed the entire summer because the plane was an annual. There was nothing wrong with the plane. It just took me a very long time to get it finished because of life getting in the way, unexpected house move, that sort of thing. The problem is that all of that not flying meant that my proficiency evaporated to almost zero, even though I was technically current. And the last few flight vlogs have been of me. I mean, there's a few delayed ones of flying the 206 in Norway, the seaplane, which was magical. A couple of those still to come. But the last few flying vlogs in the 182 from Dunkeswell, since the plane was back in the air after its 7-month annual, I did, first of all, a 1-hour flight with an instructor. I always do that when I haven't been up for a while. Then I did another hour's flight, just doing some circuits and bumps and a local flight on my own, just to, again, small steps, build my proficiency back up. Then I did a short away flight just to Henstridge and back on my own. It was my first cross country in something like 9 months, or again, just building up my proficiency gently, landing away, coming back, doing small flight plan. Then I had a wonderful flight. I hope you've seen the vlog, which should be out now, with my kids, an unexpected impromptu flight with my kids. So, you know, before this flight, I had done 4 days flying, or 4 hours of flying, 5 flights within a month or so. You know, so none of them major, none of them challenging, all very easy flights. We have family in Earl's Colne, in Colchester, sorry, in Essex, near Earl's Colne airfield. And so Earl's Colne is an airfield I've flown to many times, an airfield I'm familiar with, and yet I was feeling really daunted by the challenge, in particular the airspace challenges of a longer cross country. And that's what I really wanted to get done. And in this flight, I had Pat, my friend Pat, who's an aero engineer as well, who helped me out with the annual a little bit. And I promised him I'd take him flying, and I took him flying. He wanted to see, as an aero engineer, he wanted to see the context of technical questions about the plane from a pilot's point of view in flight. And as you'll see, I think that worked out well for him. Quite apart from the giant step back up into proficiency that it has felt, because it's so hard when you're just a private pilot and you just do it for a hobby and there's no professional flying involved. It's really, really hard to stay current, and it seems to get harder, not easier, as time goes on. Quite apart from that, all the most recent flying I've done has been in Devon or in Norway, and in areas where there just isn't much controlled airspace to worry about. And this flight to Earl's Colne, which we did on a different route there and a different route back, to just try and really spread the experience and the flight planning, really highlighted to me how much fun is sucked out of GA flying in England by controlled airspace, especially in the southeast. Once you get into the southeast, you're, as a GA pilot flying in uncontrolled airspace, you are basically always flying in a tunnel. You've always got airspace often you've got airspace both sides of you and airspace above you, and you're flying in a tunnel, an invisible tunnel. On a lovely Cav-OK day like today, you're still flying in a tunnel. And it's, when you're feeling rusty, it's overwhelming from a GA pilot point of view. It can be. But I knew that I had to push through this. But during the plan, as you'll see, during the planning process, it was just so much airspace and so many. We did a lot of Class D transits. Not a lot. We only did three actually. But that's what was involved on this flight. Without further ado, let's get into the flight vlog, and you can see what happened, because as you'll see, there are a few more challenges.
Are you happy? Yeah, all good. Ready to take off? Yeah. And November 20 Sierra will be entering and backtracking runway 35 for an immediate takeoff after the landing aircraft. It's really blowing him around. Flap set, mixture, prop, cow flaps open, a few on both, trim set. Now good to go. November 20 Sierra, lining up, taking off runway 35 for a flight to Earl's Colne via Shoreham, departing out to the east. Okay, we've got full power. Airspeed live, T's and P's all good. Plane took off on its own. Okay, power back to 24. Flaps away. November 20 Sierra departing from the Crosswind leg to the east.
November 0 Sierra, roger.
There was a very big chance that this flight was not going to happen at all. I had what should have been a 1 hour drive that turned into a 2 hour drive to get to the airfield that morning because of a road closure. And because of life and work and the universe and everything, my stress levels were off the chart. And in the car on the way there, my state of mind and my condition, my stress levels in the car on the way there were far too high to go flying. There was no question. I was too stressed to fly. And I thought about calling Pat up and saying, Pat, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it today. There was that pressure because of my delay. He was already waiting at the airfield for me in the cold, and it was a cold morning. And I came really close to binning it and thinking, I'm not in a fit state to fly. Let's just bin it. And then I thought to myself, no, don't throw it away yet. Just get to the airfield, see Pat, talk to him, get the plane out of the hangar. Because he had taken the day out to come flying with me. He had to arrange childcare and everything like that, and had been looking forward to it as much as I had. So I didn't want to give up on the day that easily. I didn't want to let him down, and I also didn't want to not fly myself. So as I arrived at the airfield, I pulled over for 5 minutes and thought to myself, what do I say? What am I going to do now? I'm still too stressed to fly. And I just spent 5 minutes before I drove into the airfield, leaving poor Pat standing in the cold. So when I got to the hangar, I said to Pat, look, 3 things when you go flying: plane, pilot, and plan. So the plane is fine, we'll check it in a minute, but I know it's fine. The plan will do, we'll work out the plan, and that's going to be fine. The weather's not too bad today. But I said, there's a problem with the pilot. And I talked him through the I'm safe pilot checklist: illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotion. And I said to him, all of those are fine except for the stress. I said, this morning, right now, as I'm talking to you, my stress levels are off the chart, and I am not currently fit to fly.
Right, autopilot. Let's... There we are. Thank you. That's all normal so far. Sort of hold my heading. It holds out. Just manually trimming the plane holds altitude better than the...
So I said, let's get the plane out. Let's get the plane out. The other planes out of the hangar. Put the other back in. Let's get the plane checked and ready to fly. Let's get in it and taxi over to the cafe, and then let's just chill out and spend some time doing the flight plan and take my time and see if I can get my stress levels down, which is what we did. But the flight planning process was the first eye-opener for Pat in just how much time we had to spend on the route balancing out weather, which was marginal VFR in some places along the northerly route to Earl's Colne, with airspace. And in the end, because of the weather, we decided to go the south coast, all the way along past south of Gatwick, the Mayfield VOR, and then turn north up across the Thames and go to Earl's Colne that way. And we got in, and we took off, and obviously my stress levels had come down before then, but it was touch and go. But you know, I as you'll know from my other videos, I have no hesitation in throwing away a flight if I'm not feeling right. But I did manage over the sort of, what was it? It was about 3 hours we were on the ground there. I managed to relax.
And then if I wanted to adjust the heading with the autopilot, I just use this little heading bug on there.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, we are climbing slowly up. That's okay, we still got the headroom to do it. Right, check with Yeovil. Yeovil radar November 1320 Sierra for basic services.
So the things that happened along the flight, it seems as though every single controller on the day would not get my call sign right. November 1320 Sierra, November 132 Oscar Sierra Sierra. I mean, they were all different as well. They were all different variations, but none of them could get, they either got the numbers the wrong way. Going 1320 tends to just tangle people's brains for some reason. And as you'll hear on all the radio calls, I had to keep on correcting them. It's just a tongue twister of a call sign, I suppose.
Yeovil radar November 1320 Sierra for basic services.
Call sign called in Yeovil radar. Say call sign again.
November 1320 Sierra.
November 1320 Sierra, Yeovil radar, pass your message.
November 1320 Sierra is a Cessna 182 on a VFR flight from Dunkeswell to Earl's Colne via Shoreham and to POB. We're currently 2,800 feet, QNH 1024, requesting basic service, and we are 6 miles north of Axminster.
November 1320 Sierra, Squawk 4371, basic service, Portland 1016.
So, now, have you heard of Freda checks? No. FREDA is just a standard stock check. You do anything wrong, go, right, how's everything going? F, fuel. Quantities expected, right, both. I'm actually going to put on a right tank just for a few minutes.
We're just going to be turning north.
Just try and level it up a bit, because that tank has more than that one on this one.
Let down towards Dunkeswell. You content where you remain with you.
So that's fuel.
Thanks a lot, Coffin, with you.
Radio, we are talking to Yeovil, and I want Bournemouth next up. Bournemouth is 19480. 19480, that's in. Fuel radio, engine, temperatures and pressures, all good. 2324.
November 1320 Sierra, just confirm your destination.
Destination Earl's Colne, Echo Golf Sierra Romeo.
Lovely, thank you.
Now that's less, is that vibrating less for you?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, well that's now 2323. That's a much slower engine running speed, but this engine prefers to the cylinders. The compressions have all massively improved because I've been running it much harder. It's running on straight oil.
Yeah.
And I've been running it much harder than I used to. I used to run it like this, 23 or 23, 22.
Your stock gauges work very well, I must say. Normally they're all over the shop.
I know. I agree. I mean, I never rely on them. I always measure it first and then time. But they do seem.
But even like, you know, CHT's, oil temp and everything else, they seem pretty, well, consistent. That's that.
Yeah, that's true.
Accuracy is a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, they're outperforming this at the moment.
Yes.
320 Sierra, I've got no further known traffic to affect. Happy for you to squawk as required and free call Bournemouth 119.480.
119.480 and squawking 7000, November 1320 Sierra, thanks, bye bye. Bournemouth radar, November 1320 Sierra for a zone crossing.
November 1203 Sierra, Bournemouth radar, pass your message.
Correct, call sign is November 1320 Sierra. We are Cessna 182 on a VFR flight from Dunkeswell to Earl's Colne via Shoreham. We're currently 8 miles southeast of Yeovil, Westland, and we're requesting transit of Bournemouth and Southampton at around about 3,000 feet. Direct to Goodwood, please. 20 Sierra.
November 30 Sierra, Roger, Squawk 7377, Bournemouth QNH 1021, basic service.
Squawking 7377, QNH 1021, November 20 Sierra. Just to correct this call sign one more time, 1320 Sierra. So you see, this autopilot does a whole bunch of stuff I don't know yet about yet. So I can hold altitude by just pressing that. And then you'll see that.
Oh, yeah. And feel it. Yeah, I see, okay.
So we're at just under 3,000 feet. Let's just see how well it holds it.
Bournemouth radar, Golf
Not bumpy, it's not too bumpy. I thought it was quite bumpy.
It's alright, yeah.
Request frequency change to Hantridge 130.250.
That's quite impressive, the auto.
20 Sierra, there's traffic just to the east of you, routing north-westbound, indicating 1,800 feet, so about range of a mile.
Copy, looking out, traffic not sighted, November 20 Sierra. So about a mile in front of us, there's an aircraft crossing left to right, about 1,000 feet below. Yeah. Not showing up on here, which means it's not transponding.
November 20 Sierra, just confirm your IFR and VFR.
VFR, November 20 Sierra. The Bournemouth Airport's over there on our... Oh, 2 o'clock.
Oh, what, sorry?
Bournemouth Airport.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
We're about to enter their airspace. Well, when they give us permission, which they haven't yet.
Bournemouth radar, hello, November 666 Golf Alpha, about 20 miles south, requesting a basic service please and a zone transit.
November 1320 Sierra, you're clear to transit controlled airspace VFR, not above altitude at 3,000 feet.
Clear to transit VFR, not above 3,000 feet, and that's through Bournemouth and Southampton, is it?
That's through Bournemouth initially.
Okay, so November 20 Sierra, cleared, not above 3,000 feet, VFR 20 Sierra. Right, so when you're not above 3,000 feet, that's a hard limit, you can't go above.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to disconnect the autopilot, just keep heading on. Just going to come down a couple of hundred feet, just give myself that buffer.
Just overhead danger areas.
It's a magical thing to do for fun, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
We've been cleared through them by London info.
I see the appeal in it, definitely.
You know, when you got your whole family on board, and you're actually using it to go from
Yeah,
Devon to
the practicality aspect of it is very appealing.
November 320 Sierra, you'll be cleared to transit through controlled airspace now in the Solent CTA direct to Goodwood. I'll be passing to Southampton shortly.
November 20 Sierra, cleared direct Goodwood through Southampton. November 20, thank you.
Traffic service, one leaving.
The GPS fix lost.
In the zone.
This happens sometimes, but usually it comes back on its own.
Okay.
And Russian 7 further climbs approved VFR 3,000 feet.
Click climb VFR 3,000 feet, Russian 7.
Sometimes have to cycle it off and on again. It's distracting when it does this. It's a real distraction, and you don't want this happening when you're going through controlled airspace. So I had this is, I would have, switched to this.
November 320 Sierra, contact Solent radar now, 120.230. Have a good day.
120.230, November 20 Sierra, thank you. Solar radar, November 1320 Sierra, squawking 7377.
November 1320 Sierra, radar, squawk 3670, QNH check 1021.
Squawking 3670, QNH 1021, November 20 Sierra.
November 1320 Sierra, continue not above 3,000 feet VFR.
Continue not above 3,000 feet VFR, direct Goodwood.
Ethan.
Cool. Nice to know.
Logan 8,
2 different airports, so we're now going to their airspace.
Descend
Yep.
flight level 70.
Farmer radar, November 1320 Sierra for basic service.
November 132 Kilo Sierra, Farmer radar, passing message.
Correct call sign, November 1320 Sierra. Cessna 182 on a VFR flight from Dunkeswell to Earl's Colne via Shoreham, Mayfield, requesting basic service.
November 132 Kilo Sierra, squawk QNH 1020, basic service.
Squawking 0434 QNH 1020, and call sign correction is November 132 Sierra, not Kilo Sierra.
November 1320 Sierra, thanks for that. And can you just say again your type, point of origin and level?
Cessna 182, point of origin Dunkeswell, and we are 3,000 feet QNH 1020. Right.
017 squawk on security.
The autopilot just failed. Really? Because this happened while I was talking on the radio. This PW thing came on, and it just completely fucking lost it. For reasons I do not understand. So I'll turn it off.
Medina 04, Farnborough radar passing message.
04 Squirrel helicopter out of the private landing site.
There's a lot of traffic here.
Overhead, Reading this time, 1,500 feet on 1021, looking for service and penetration to remain west of Farnborough, but to the east of Odium.
2,000 feet below us down there, but heading away from us.
1020, basic service.
Right, down on our nose, there's a plane crossing left to right in the cloud, see? Just in the bottom of that cloud, you can see a tiny black dot.
Oh, yeah.
That's not that plane. And it's turning, and I can't tell if it's turning towards us or away from us.
Towards us, I think. He's doing the...
Climbing. So he's travelling away from us now.
Yeah.
You're right, he did turn towards us, I think.
Your QNH 1020 and your...
See what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the radio.
Yeah, it's a big workload,
Now,
yeah.
fly the plane, and the autopilot really fucking helps. Farnborough, November 1320 Sierra, squawking 0434.
1320 Sierra Farnborough, hello, I have your details. Can you confirm the aircraft type?
Cessna 182, November 20 Sierra.
November 1320 Sierra, thank you, basic service. London QNH 100, squawk 1733.
Altitude's creeping up.
See?
Autopilot,
Right?
Yeah. I heard that.
Like, what the fuck? Why? No. Well, I'm heading. Altitude. Come on. See, I've got no idea what caused that.
Yeah, that's odd.
The PW, last time that happened, it was an indication that the, one of my air bottles had gone, one of the, static.
Oh, so, yeah, the accumulators, yeah.
South End radar, November 1320 Sierra for basic service.
Was that November 1320 Sierra calling?
Hey, fam.
November 1320 Sierra, South End radar, pass message.
November 1320 Sierra. This is Cessna 182 with VFR flight from Dunkeswell to Earl's Colne via Shoreham, currently 8 miles east of Biggin Hill. Requesting basic service to Earl's Colne.
Number 13200, Roger, squawk 5053.
Squawking 5053, November 1320 Sierra.
And the other major factor was that it was a very windy day. The winds aloft to 25 knots. On the ground at Dunkeswell, it was a northwesterly wind. We took off from the northerly runway 35, no problem at all. But we were going to have a serious crosswind at Earl's Colne. I had spoken to them on the phone, and they said that the crosswind was varying in direction, swinging through about 40 degrees in the direction of it, and the speed, they said, was varying between 8 and 12 knots, gusting 15 occasionally. All of which is within my capability and the plane's capability.
Some bumps. Got my flight engineer on board. Earl's Colne, November 1320 Sierra, inbound from the southwest, 12 miles to run, requesting info information.
November 1320 Sierra, this is Colne Radio. Runway news is 24, left-hand circuit, QNH 1020, QFE 1012.
24 left hand, QFE 1012, November 20 Sierra. And do you have any traffic in the circuit? Would I be able to join downwind left hand for runway 24?
November 20 Sierra, at the moment I've got one aircraft in the circuit, but they're currently taxiing to Point Bravo.
Roger that, 20 Sierra.
Now, Earl's Colne Airfield, the runway is 2406, and they were using runway 24, but the wind was from the northwest and was almost straight across the runway, not quite. And annoyingly, the camera's batteries ran out just before we arrived, so there's no video footage of the landing, which is a shame, because Earl's Colne is a grass runway, very nice, very well kept, smooth grass runway with a tarmac strip, a narrow tarmac strip down the left-hand side of runway 24, which they were using preferably because it's winter and there's been a lot of rain and the grass is quite wet. As we approached, the crab angle for the runway, the offset angle of where the plane's nose was pointing compared to where the runway direction was the most extreme I can ever remember. I mean, it almost felt like we were flying 90 degrees down the approach path to the runway. And I asked if the runway was, you'll hear me ask on the radio, is the grass runway available? And you'll hear their response, which was, it is, but we prefer you to use the tarmac if possible.
And Earl's Colne, November 20 Sierra, is it hard runway only or is the grass available?
We are trying to use the tarmac surfaces only, but we have got the grass and it is usable. But if possible, we'd like you to use tarmac. But if you need to use the grass in this crosswind, then feel free.
Copy that. Thank you very much. We'll have a crack at the tarmac, and if we have to go around, then we'll see.
And this was something where I was actually quite happy with how I handled this, because a strong gusty crosswind is a dangerous factor when landing an airplane. And so I was not going to increase my risk factor just for the sake of not putting marks on their grass. I can remember that landing very clearly. The approach was gusty. There was an extreme crosswind angle in the crab. And as we came down, and I had been warned about potential wind shear, which is when the plane can drop suddenly and lose lift at the last minute because of a sudden change in the wind speed, which happened, but we were nicely high. However, we were then too high, and the turbulence and the rotors coming over the trees and the hedge on the side of the runway from the crosswind were so extreme that I just couldn't get the plane to settle down at all. And before I knew it, we were halfway down the runway, we were nowhere near touchdown. So without hesitating, I threw it away and went around.
Yeah, wind shear 20 Sierra. Sierra going around.
November 20 Sierra, roger.
I didn't like it. I don't know if you felt it, but there was a sudden drop, like
yeah.
Which that's okay. But it meant I really wasn't as stable as I would have liked to have been.
So around we went, and for the second approach, I decided to only use 10 degrees of flap to just reduce the effect of the gusts on the lift of the plane and to give us a little bit more punch through the air and through the gusts. And we came in on the grass runway. Was that once we were on the grass runway, the crosswind was still so strong that I couldn't keep the plane straight on the grass. We were skidding sideways. When I put right rudder in to offset the crosswind because we were being blown to the left, the plane just started sliding. It didn't act, the wheels had no grip because the grass was too slippery. And so I just allowed the plane to drift left up onto the tarmac. Luckily, there wasn't a big lip there. It went onto the tarmac with no issue. Unfortunately, the camera's batteries died before we landed here, but that was one of the toughest crosswind landings I've ever done. We had to start off with a go-around because we tried to land on the brand new shiny tarmac runway. But it wasn't so much the strength of the crosswind, it was the gustiness of it. It was just throwing there. I couldn't get it settled down. The second time we came on the grass, even though it's a bit wet, and the wind was so strong it pushed us across the grass onto the runway, but that worked out anyway. So now we are heading back to Dunkeswell, where we can land straight into wind, hopefully. You know what I love most about Earl's Colne? This is one of those airfields that GA pilot. It's one of those airfields where they're like, oh, you're a GA pilot, yay, welcome. Do you have some airfields where you just feel like you're in their way? It's a really lovely, warm, welcome and helpful team here every time. So if you haven't been here, definitely give it a visit. I'd like to be able to say the return flight was less eventful, but the crosswind was still very strong, and even though we took off from the tarmac strip, the gustiness of the crosswind caused a problem.
I'm going to go from here. Oh! God, did you see that? I'm so glad we only had 10 degrees of flaps, and with 20 that would have been worse. It lifted us off the ground and put us back down again, did you see?
Yeah.
Did not like that. And that has not happened to me ever.
Oh, well handled.
To be honest, that shut me right up. Oh, God, did you see that? I wasn't trying to pull it in the air either, I was just lifting the nose wheel up to let it fly off when it was ready. That might have been my mistake actually. Sometimes they say keep the nose hard on the ground until you want to, the beyond rotation speed, and then give it a sharp yank. But the trouble is with the sun in my eyes, I couldn't actually see the instruments very well.
So I got one thing right and one thing wrong on that takeoff. What I got right was I had my full right aileron and enough right rudder to keep the plane straight on the runway, and the takeoff course was good. What I got wrong is that when you've got a very gusty crosswind on a takeoff, you're supposed to keep the nose wheel on the ground a little bit longer than usual so that your airspeed has reached a high enough speed that you won't be dropped back on the ground if you get a negative gust. And that's what happened. I lifted the nose wheel to allow for a normal takeoff where the plane will fly itself off, and you just lift the nose wheel and it will fly itself off when it's ready. I did that and the plane did fly itself off, but then a gust meant that it sank back down again, and that's never happened to me in that plane, and it caught me off guard, and it really, as you could hear from the cockpit audio, really shut me up.
Yeah, Roger. Thanks for the visit. See you again soon.
Rhino 2 November Victor, further right, head 235.
Heading 235, Rhino 2 November Victor.
Confirm cleared altitude for Ryanair 41 Uniform Lima.
41 Uniform Lima, 6,000 feet.
6,000 feet, Ryanair 41 Uniform.
On the way back, there's so much airspace. There's Stansted, there's Southend, there's London, there's Stapleford, there's Elstree, and all of these little bits. So there's a really tight corridor to get back through. And it was gusty and windy, and I was having trouble keeping the plane from climbing and busting the Heathrow airspace above me. So I did a really careful plan to get us back out of that corridor on the northern side of the London TMA. And after that, we had a pretty lovely and uneventful flight back, except of course that Sky Echo, as it does on every flight, decided to pack up on me. Not the battery this time, the battery was fine, just the GPS signal gave up.
You all good?
Marvellous.
Well, welcome to two of my most interesting airport movements. Ah, dearie me. This plane has never
When ready, descend to altitude 6.
taken off and then settled back down again like that. I've had that happen to me in other airplanes. Never in this one.
7 feet when ready, 1020, Golf, Tango Charlie.
So, good. that I only did 10 degrees of flaps, because with 20 that would have been worse.
Yankee, contact the tower with
Bad.
only 123.
What I should have done is kept it nose down for longer, like pin it to the ground, so we were well above rotation speed, and then...
November 20 Sierra, back outside again, returns to your basic service.
Roger, basic service 20 Sierra, and if I may, I'd like to change to Farmer North 132.800.
20 Sierra, Roger, score conspicuity, service with me terminates, bye-bye.
Squawking 7000, bye-bye, 20 Sierra.
Ryanair 6 Victor Mike.
Basic service.
They love getting rid of you, those busy airports, like, yeah, bye, see ya. Back on again. You know, for 500 quid, you expect a bit more.
Yeah.
Golf Alpha Tango, traffic 11 o'clock, 9 miles, eastbound at 1900 feet to Cessna 152.
Roger, traffic not sighted, Golf Alpha Tango.
Not going to come back, is it, this time? I should have got my backup GPS. I've got a GLONASS, Garmin GLONASS GPS receiver, which I can switch to for that, Bluetooth to that, in my flight bag somewhere. Tell you what, on these flights, there's always something. And the more tech you're using, the more there is to just decide to stop working. Nose down a little bit, nose down a bit. That's it, back there. Are you having to put any pressure on at the moment, or is it full of neutral?
Yeah, slightly.
Would you have to put pressure down?
Push forward, yeah, so nose
I'm
down.
just going to do a quarter turn on the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Too much?
No, yeah, I feel that now.
It's amazing, tiny trim adjustments.
Wow, yeah.
Massive
difference. Oh, what a nice sunset.
Yeah. Got a flight engineer at the controls.
Hey.
It was uneventful until we got back. And as you'll see, when we got back to Dunkeswell, there was an aircraft in the circuit not making radio calls. It wasn't dangerously close, but it was uncomfortably close. And even though I thought I'd put plenty of space between me and that aircraft on final, our eventful day of flying wasn't over yet.
You're right in your 2 o'clock range of 4 miles.
Those floods still.
Wow. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Heading 300 degrees, looking for the traffic, Logan, 9 Kilo Whiskey. We are above the cloud.
Crosswind copy, deconfliction service. Should pass well down your right hand side.
Deconfliction service, looking, Logan, 9 Kilo Whiskey.
That's right, that's a good heading.
Yeah.
Kilo Whiskey.
Yeah.
Logan 9 Kilo Whiskey, contact Cardiff radar 125.855.
Just skip over the top of that little tiny cloud in front of us.
Yeah.
Cardiff radar 125.855, Logan, 9 Kilo Whiskey.
And further station code extra, try again.
November 20 Sierra, wind estimated 040 at 10 knots.
Copy that, thank you, 20 Sierra, just entering long downwind for runway 04 to land full stop. Okay, unexpected. Thought number's going to be 35. Oh shit.
Oh, traffic, yeah.
I'm going to put it in orbit, it's too close to him. Anyone on the radio?
No. Not got his strobes on or anything either, so it's like you catch him.
Mine as well. So aircraft on downwind. Are you on the radio?
Aircraft online.
Okay.
Aircraft light, downwind right hand 04.
November 20 Sierra, downwind right hand 04, contact 1 ahead. Slow down. There was no one calling downwind, I did not hear him call downwind.
No.
November 20 Sierra, turning final runway 04 to land, contact 1 on. Is he taking off again? What's he doing? Fuck, he's going to taxi all the way to the end. I have to go around. I can easily land and stop behind him, but I can stop before we have to turn left, but not good juju. Is he going to turn off? He's not going to turn off. Sierra going around. Don't bother, mate, it's alright, it's fine, just don't call downwind and just dawdle down the runway.
Golf Charlie Bravo is downwind, runway 04.
That's annoying. We could actually have landed behind him safely and turned off down there. Easily, but it's just not, you're not supposed to do that. Yeah. Quickly up to the pumps. Nice 65 knot approach on final. Trimmed. Oh, nearly. I'll accept that.
Nice.
As long as you keep the nose wheel off, I think it's alright, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of challenges that day, a lot of challenges, and I feel really happy that I pushed through them, starting with the feeling too stressed to fly at the beginning of the day, but making the decision to just not throw it away unless I really had to. And for those of you thinking, no, Charlie, you just shouldn't have flown. No, this is one of the things that as a pilot, as you get older, as you get more hours and more experience, you do get better at knowing when you are okay and when you're not okay to fly. And yes, if there's any doubt, you shouldn't fly. But I got myself to the point where there was no doubt I was okay to fly. But the backup was that if that changed and I felt suddenly not okay, I would just land wherever. I would just land at the nearest airfield. My RT, my radio language is still very, very sloppy. And that gets worse as you haven't flown for a long time. And I need to work on that. But I handled the airspace okay, handled the plane okay, the navigation okay. The crosswind landing was, I would say that's probably the most challenging crosswind landing I've ever done. It's a fight to keep current and keep proficient. A real fight, but it's a worthwhile fight. I just wish it wasn't so much of a fight. But it is a fight and it's worth it. And I'm glad I pushed through, and I'm glad I did that day. I'm glad I challenged myself because I'm now feeling much more confident to take my family up and go on a long cross-country flight. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. I'm sure you've all got lots of opinions on what I did that day. Plenty to discuss, always healthy to debate it. Let me know what you think, and see you on the next video. Bye, guys. Fly safe.